I'm Danica Daniel, and you're watching Ask a Mogul. It is not every day that you get to sit down with a living legend. But today, it is my immense pleasure and honor to introduce our special guest, a woman who really needs no introduction, Emmy Award-winning actress and New York Times bestselling author, Miss Susan Lucci.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so happy to meet you.
So excited.
Thank
I've been
you.
geeking out all day.
Oh, thank you so much.
Now, I must say that I'm obviously a huge fan. My mother would sit me down in front of the television every day in the afternoon to watch All My Children.
That's great.
And watch Erica Kane. And what I realized is that she really wanted me to watch a woman in those days take control.
Oh, interesting.
You know, your character, I mean, was way before her time. She was, just taking charge, kicking butt, taking names in the boardroom. And so I wanted to know, looking back at that iconic character, what do you think about her and the role that she has in society today?
Well, no one was more surprised than I was at the role that she seems to have had in our culture and the wonderful influence that she's had on so many other women and girls. So many people stop me who have come from other countries who tell me they learned to speak English watching Erica Kane.
Wow.
So then I wonder, do we have a country full of divas? Are they all
Yes.
running around? What language did they learn? But it's very, very meaningful to me. And when I started playing Erica as a 15-year-old high school girl, I thought, this is the naughty girl in town. But there was so much behind that naughtiness that I saw and loved. And Agnes Nixon was really ahead of her time because she wrote this character. Right. And the character was really a character of her time. It was the beginning of women just, I guess, standing up for themselves. I just thought no one would really get her. I did, I loved her, but it was such a surprise to me that beyond the naughtiness of the character, people saw her spirit, they saw her spunk, they saw her determination. And that really amazed me when women's magazines would come and they wanted to interview me because I played Erica Kane, and they were saying that I was a very positive influence on women. I really never imagined that, but I feel very proud of that.
I think you allowed women to be the them they wanted to be at that time. So a lot of the questions that we will be asking today actually come from our Mogul community.
Oh, great.
So it's really exciting. So our first one is from Jessica, and she wants to know, during the 41 years that you played Erica Kane on All My Children, you got married 10 times. Go girl. Can you name all of your on-screen husbands, and which one was your favorite?
Oh.
Kissing and telling right now.
Yes, kissing and telling, and I mean, Kel Dilemma, right? I mean,
which one
they
to
were
choose?
pretty fantastic. So I think it's Erica Kane, Martin Brent, Cudahy Chandler, Roy, Montgomery, Merrick Montgomery. I was about to be Montgomery again. I lost count, but I think that's roughly it.
And lost fingers.
And
too.
lost fingers, yeah, because I was going to 11 with Jack Montgomery, and the show ended on that note. Yeah, she was going to try to get Jack back and have her career in Hollywood.
Okay, a woman who has it all.
Trying. But the favorite, gosh, Jack is obviously one she kept coming back to, and he couldn't get her out of his system. It's really hard. I mean, so many fans who were watching loved Dimitri with Erica. That was a great storyline. Yeah. Mike Roy, the one who got away, the writer who thought she'd never go to a banana plantation with him, and she said, "Why did you ask me?" I mean, each story had a wonderful. And there was David Canary playing Adam Chandler. I mean, definitely Erica and Adam Chandler did not belong together, but as an actress, getting to play scenes with David Canary, oh my goodness.
I think we were literally lovesick. We were so invested in your relationships. I remember we would be so sad when something would happen and you guys would break up. Like, no, please go.
Thank you.
Speaking of husbands, Alexis wants to know, you married Austrian businessman Helmut Huber in 1969 and have been happily married for almost 5 decades. What is your secret?
Oh, he's really the secret. I saw him, I worked for Helmut when I was in and I just thought he was a very attractive older man at the time. And And then when I got out of college, well, I played Erica Kane. I broke an engagement. Helmut found out. Then I went out with him. But he made me laugh. And so as I got to know him, I found him to be everything I had admired from the distance. Really smart, really self-assured, very confident, and very, very funny. And all those things that I saw in him then, fortunately, they've continued. And he's been there with me every step of the way. I mean, I certainly had my dreams and I was going after them, but I really feel that because of Helmut, I got my dreams, but I also have a smile on my face.
So you said he's the secret. How did you know he was the one?
He just, first of all, he's so decisive and so take charge that, I mean, my father said, if Susan continues to go out with this man, he's going to make her marry. But in a good way. And, but I had instincts about him because he was so confident and smart and funny. I mean, those were qualities that I just loved, and very handsome, all those things. But they proved to be true. I know that doesn't happen in every relationship, and people don't always grow together or have the possibility to grow together. But he never held me back. He helped me. He drove me to my acting classes, which were at midnight. Wow. Yeah. So he was always in my corner.
And I know he was in your corner for this next question. Chelsea asks, you made history when you were nominated for an Emmy 19 times before finally winning the statue for Best Actress. I cried. Can you describe that moment and what it taught you about never giving up?
Oh, thank you. First of all, I was thrilled to be nominated. It's a field of very, very talented people in daytime, working very hard. All across the board. It's a real ensemble. And to have that group of professionals who I admired their work so much think that my work was worthy of nomination that many times, year after year, was very thrilling to me. Every year, the fans, the people I work with, the press would be rooting for me, and they would let me know. And it amazed me because I knew I cared very much, but I didn't think anybody else on the planet would necessarily know or care. So people really were caring, and they were saying every year, this is your year, this is your year. So I'd get very, very excited. But there were 18 times that I didn't win, and so I'm a very hopeful person, and I didn't want to give up on it. But I just thought, let me just try to be better every time. Let me try to grow. Let me try to be the best actress I can be, better and better. And fortunately, that 19th nomination came after a year of particularly wonderful storyline and everyone in it wonderful. And when I got to it was in Madison Square Garden that year, and because Radio City was being renovated.
Oh, nice.
I sat down. Rosie O'Donnell was sitting to my left. My husband was sitting to my right. And Rosie O'Donnell leaned over and she said, Susan, when they say your name tonight and you go up on stage, hand me your evening bag, because otherwise you'll be all excited. You'll stand up really fast. You'll step all over your evening bag, and that won't be pretty. So just give it to me. And I said, thank you, Rosie, but history has taught me I'm not going up there, you know, but thank you. Anyway, so then when Shamar Moore announced, the streak is over, and he said my name, I didn't hear my name, because after the 9th time that I didn't win, I would go numb. I think it must have been a self-protective thing. I really don't know. But I didn't hear my name, and my biggest fear was they would say my name one day, or I'd think they did, and I would go up and it wasn't me.
Right.
So I just sat down. And Rosie took my evening bag. My husband picked me up by my elbow and took me to the stage, and I whispered to him, anybody who saw that broadcast, I whispered in his ear, are you sure? And he said yes. And I mean, when I got on that stage, I didn't think, the night before I finally let myself put together something that I might say on the outside chance that I might win, because I had so many people to thank, including my children. And Agnes, of course. But the fact that when I got up there and turned around, I didn't think I could stand, let alone speak. And when I saw my peers on their feet, and Oprah Winfrey jumping up and down on the wings, and I mean, Kelly Ripa, and It was just amazing to me. And then finally I just thought, I have to thank them, I have to thank them. Unfortunately, Dick Clark gave me the time to thank them, because after 19 nominations, there was a lot of thank yous to go around, but it was thrilling. I'll never forget it.
I heard the music was playing, and Dick was like, "Let her speak, let her
Yes,
speak."
yes, that's true.
You better let her speak. What? So exciting. Okay, so our next question comes from Lucy Chen. Hi, Susan Lucci. It's an incredible honor to meet you on Mogul. Thank you for paving the way for so many women in the entertainment industry. How do you feel about the entertainment industry overall, especially in light of all of the recent controversy that's occurred since Harvey Weinstein's sexual harassment accusations have been brought to light?
Well, first of all, I had no idea that I was paving the way. I just was so, I'm so grateful, and I just felt so lucky to have the opportunity to be an actress, to do what I dreamed of doing since I was a little girl. So that's what I knew, and I knew I had this wonderful part to play, and I'm thrilled if it helped someone else get into the industry. One thing I will say is that I was told at the beginning I probably would never work in television because I was too ethnic looking.
What does that mean?
Well, they said at least if you had blue eyes. If you were blue-eyed blonde or you had red hair, but at least if you had blue eyes, we could deal with a brunette. And I just didn't believe it. I just didn't believe it. And boy, have we come a long way, baby, right?
I can't believe that you're considered ethnic looking. I mean,
Well,
beautiful, right?
thank you. I had olive skin, dark eyes, dark hair, and in those days, that's what they thought. So, but I didn't really believe it. And again, to hang in there, because you never know. When I went to audition for All My Children for Erica Kane, with no vowel on the end of Erica Kane's name, Agnes Nixon saw me, and she said, "Those are Erica Kane's eyes."
Wow.
She was looking for someone who had dark eyes, dark hair, and olive skin. So you never know. You know, you just don't know. Don't count yourself out. You know, just keep on with your dreams and learning everything you can and trying to be the best you can at what you love to do. So that's, you know, my feeling about the entertainment, that I got to do it. I still love the industry. I think for those kids out there who are dreaming their dreams to be on stage on Broadway or to perform in film or television or all of it, yes, the industry is there for you. There are some people who have misused their positions, and just even if they weren't in the entertainment industry as men, I mean, when a woman says no, it's no. If they're given a choice, I know they're not always or haven't been in the past, but I think that will change. You know, there's another aspect of this thing too about all that's come out in the entertainment industry. I was very lucky not to have to deal with much of that. But I think there are times where people just assume that if you do make it, you have been part of the casting couch. And that's not right. You know, that doesn't give people credit who got there without having to go through the horrors that are being described to us now.
That is so true.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for answering that question.
Okay.
Stephanie, actually, I think you answered this. Did you experience any inappropriate treatment on the sets of All My Children or during your career?
I was lucky to work with Agnes Nixon, who truly was an artist and was a great storyteller, and I got to be the character she told a lot of those great stories through. I was lucky, look, the things that I think more for me, it was men maybe coming on to me, you know. I wasn't forced. I was given some choices, you know, here, come with me on my private plane to the Bahamas and leave your husband at home, you know? So I said, no, thank you. You know, things like that. So I didn't experience the horrors that so many women are coming forward now and saying that they experienced. And I'm so glad that women are speaking up if they have been victimized.
I think it's going to change the industry moving forward. So.
And every industry, and the culture, in a good way, in a positive way.
In a wonderful way.
Yes.
Dolores wants to know, you've had such an amazing career. Longevity should be your middle name.
Thank you.
What do you feel it takes to have a career that spans decades in Hollywood?
Oh.
Secrets, you're dropping so many secrets right now.
I think, oh my goodness, I think just keep doing what you love. being grateful that you get to do it, and respect it, and respect the people you work with. Keep on learning and growing. Don't rest on any laurels. Keep on going, keep on growing.
Stephanie asks, Sadia asks, hi, Mrs. Lucci.
Hi, Sadia.
It is absolutely awesome that you're taking the time to do this. Of all your roles, which would you say was the most entertaining for you?
Oh, well, I mean, there's no question, Erica Kane. I just loved her so much, and I would go in, I mean, I played her for a long time, and so, I know that sometimes people would say, oh, how can you do? I loved her, and every day there was a different script, for one thing, so that helped keep it fresh and entertaining for me. But also the people I worked with were so great, so I got to go and play, you know, every day. There were very long hours and so on, but I got to do what I loved, and that was great.
Did you ever get a script and go, what? I'm doing
Yes,
this today?
yes, oh, absolutely, yes. There were a couple of storylines that I really, I wasn't sure. I will try anything in rehearsal, you know, but the day that I fought the grizzly bear.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I said to the producer at the time, Jackie Babin, we were up on location way north in Canada, very hot day in July on the Thousand Lakes, and Erica was backed against a cliff. She would either fall off the cliff or she would fight the grizzly bear, and whatever she was going to do, she needed to escape from Adam Chandler, who had kidnapped her. So I said, Jackie, don't you think we've gone too far? If I'm going to fight a grizzly bear and I'm going to win, I think I've gone too far. She said, well, just try it. So I did, and the bear, it was so hot, and the bear did not want to work. I mean, the bear was with his trainer.
A real bear?
It was a real bear. It was a grizzly bear. And while I was doing the other scenes over here, the grizzly bear was over there in a stream. They were trying to keep the grizzly bear cool.
Calm.
Calm, and he did not want to work. He was groaning and groaning. And so we did the scene in one take. You know, an actor always wants to have another chance, but we did it in one take. The grizzly bear did not attack, and
you are so amazing. I did not realize that was a real grizzly bear.
Yes.
That seems dangerous. Okay. Well, you know, you can face anything in Hollywood if you fight an actual bear and survive. Leah94 says, oh my gosh, I'm your biggest fan. How did you first get into acting?
Well, it's how I played as a little girl. I was always making up stories, acting out all the parts, and my mother was so nice. She let me play in the top drawer of her bureau. So there were scarves, and she had long gloves and a cigarette holder, even though she didn't smoke, and like they weren't really tiaras, but you could use them as a tiara, and she would let me play like that. And when I got old enough to go outside, all the neighborhood kids, we had fun, you know, we would just make up plays. But then I really wanted to do it, and my parents had moved to a community where they had a really good acting program when I was in high school. That's just dumb luck. Right. This woman would rehearse us the way you do on Broadway, or the way you do when we would do Devious Maids. We would sit around a big conference table and have a table read. I mean, that's what we did when I was in high school. And I just always felt that she gave me a tremendous head start. And then I studied in college and majored in drama.
And you said you were taking acting classes at midnight? Were those the only classes that were available?
Well, no, actually before the midnight classes, I got to study with Win Handman, who was the director of the American Place Theater here in New York. And his studio was right out the back door of Carnegie Hall. And I was new to New York. I was thrilled to be even near Carnegie Hall. And Win Handman let me in his class, and that was fantastic. So that was the daytime. And then I was on All My Children, and Harold Klorman, who brought the method to America, the Stanislavski method, was teaching classes at midnight because it was mostly for Broadway actors. So they'd get off stage around 11-ish and then go, but I was on a TV schedule. But I didn't care that I was up at 5. I still wanted to, so I did, and I was very fortunate to study then with Harold Klorman. So those were my midnight classes.
That is such a testament as well. I think so many people would think you're on a television show, you think you've made it, You don't need to continue your education.
Mm.
So you were still learning, still pushing. I love that. That's such a great lesson in that too. Going to what you were mentioning before, Melissa asks, is there anything you wish you knew about the business before you started?
Oh, I knew nothing about the business when I started. So I kind of learned as I went along, and even when I went from All My Children, which was shot on tape and then video recorded with multiple cameras all at the same time, and editing very often as they went, somewhat. Then to work with almost no rehearsal. Then to go to Devious Maids, which was shot on film, one camera at a time, one shot at a time. I was learning always. I had a lot to learn. I bet I still do.
You got a lot to learn, oh my goodness. Carol says, you appeared in the 1999 revival of Annie Get Your Gun on Broadway.
Oh.
What's the biggest difference between acting in Broadway and acting on television?
Well, Broadway's live for one thing, and you have the live audience there as well. And that's when I started taking voice lessons.
Okay.
After I won the Emmy, a number of things happened. The cover of Cigar Aficionado, the cover of People, and in those interviews I was asked what would I like to do. And Broadway was certainly one of them. I grew up in New York. Broadway is it. And for an actor to appear live on stage, and this is Irving Berlin, this is Annie Get Your Gun. Again, I was offered the part of Annie Oakley. Not an ethnic part, you know.
Sure, you can play anything at this point.
So I was thrilled, but I also knew that I had a lot to learn. So I was fortunate because I was going to be on Broadway, and that was very largely due to Marvin Hamlish helping get me ready for my audition. He was a wonderful, wonderful mentor and generous, and then auditioning because I wanted. The producers offered me the part, but I wanted them to know what they were getting into with me because I hadn't been on Broadway, let alone to play Annie and Annie Get Your Gun. So I auditioned for them at their apartment, and they told me on the spot, they said, "Oh, you've got it," and that never happens. Usually I have to wait for a call, so I was thrilled beyond belief. Anyway, but then I started studying with Joan Lader, the fabulous Joan Lader, the legendary Joan Lader, who teaches almost everybody on Broadway. And I got to work with the best and take voice lessons. And I started about 6 months before I went into the show, and I continued for several years after, and then toured with Regis Philbin around the country at different concert halls and theaters and nightclubs. And
it must be exciting to be able to feel the energy of the crowd.
It's very exciting, and I knew that I had been a little girl in audiences on Broadway. My mother would take me to Broadway shows because she knew I wanted to grow up to be an actress, and I knew that there would be other people like I had been a little girl in the audience, and I didn't want to disappoint them. You know, it was enough that I wanted to do this, but they wanted to do it too, and I didn't want to ruin their aspirations. So, and I wanted to do a really good job. So I studied with great people, and that really helped me a lot. But I was told at the time by the director that the audience becomes a third character. You know, that you really do feel their presence. You really do. You're in the moment and so on, but they are reacting live right there.
Next question comes from Alana. You serve as an ambassador for the National Women's Museum in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
For those who don't know, the National Museum of Women in Arts is the only major museum in the world solely dedicated to celebrating women's achievements in the visual, performing, and literary arts. How did you get involved, and why should every woman go to this museum?
Oh,
Great question, Alana.
Yes, a great question. When I was asked to be involved, and I couldn't believe that there wasn't already such a museum. Can you imagine? I mean, we're well into the 21st century, and heaven knows women have achieved great things. So I was thrilled to be asked to be part of it, and so I signed up.
Any cool exhibits in there? What can somebody expect when they go to that museum?
Well, it's actually evolving. You know,
Okay.
it's kind of right at the beginning. So
nice.
yes.
I love that. Tarn wants to know. Now she prefaces this with a really great quote by Muhammad Ali.
Oh.
Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. Now, you clearly believe this because you are involved with so many different charities. I can't even name all of them. You work with Feed the Children. You're a champion of Little Flower Children and Family Services in New York.
Yes.
You've been a spokesperson for the National AFib campaign. You host the United Cerebral Palsy of New York City Women Who Care Luncheon. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Thank you.
What charity is the most rewarding to you, and why do you feel this need to give back so much?
Oh,
Time.
what a beautiful question, and thank you. And my goodness, to start with a quote from the great Muhammad Ali, what a good man. And I agree with what he said. It's the rent we pay. I mean, I feel compelled, and I look for guidance because I would like to be able to use whatever form I have to do some good in the world. The children's charities, as you can tell, touch me the most. We just need to stand up for the children who don't have their own voice and be their advocate.
And we can already see how beautiful you are on the inside. But Natasha asks a question about this beauty on the outside that's just radiating. What's your skincare routine? You look amazing.
Thank you. Oh, I probably do a lot of what everybody is told to do, and it's some discipline involved no matter how late you come home to take your makeup off.
I don't do that. No.
I know it's hard. I mean, to do that, and hydration is important. One thing I do and have done for actually religiously since right when I was in rehearsal for Annie Get Your Gun is to drink hot water and lemon. I do have 2 cups of coffee in the morning. I really love coffee, but the rest of the day, for the most part, I will drink hot water and lemon. And it hydrates. It's a warm liquid, so it's really comforting. And usually TV sets are really freezing, so that's also good. But also it balances your pH, and it also boosts your metabolism. So that's a lot of good things for a little cup of hot water and lemon.
Hot water and lemon right now. Every time I drink it from now on, I'm gonna be like, Susan Lucci told me to do that.
Well, it does. I think it does help, and it's a way of hydrating, and still, it's nice. It's not having to, carry the water bottle around. I really enjoy it. The other thing I have to say I think is good. I do Pilates just about every day, and I think that helps with circulation, and that's good.
And so, is that the only thing that you do? This amazing physique, all Pilates.
Thank you. Yes, I have been associated. Many people out there might know on QVC with the Pilates Pro Chair, which I love because it also saves time. You get results, but it saves time because you get a cardio workout at the same time that you're getting Pilates. So you're sculpting your body, but you're also toning at the same time and getting your heart rate up. I think it's good for your brains too. I need all my wits about me.
I think exercise is good for everything. It's good
Everything,
for your skin,
right?
your brain, your mind.
Yes, your well-being, your disposition.
I think everybody should do like 30 minutes of cardio.
And you can do that and get Pilates at the same time.
And that's so funny because Annie, that's the next question. You've been a huge advocate of Pilates. Is that how you stay in shape? Is that the only way you stay in shape?
Well, what I eat, of course, what you eat is. You are what you eat, that expression, I believe that. Sometimes I'm linguine, but other times, it's but a Mediterranean diet, I would say, mostly fresh fruits and vegetables, and then a fish and sometimes chicken. And then there are the times that it's veal meatballs and rigatoni. So but that's not that often. So it's a balancing act too. It's mainly organic fruits, vegetables, and fish.
Fabulous
blueberries.
Fabulous.
Something. I think we all need to say thank you to our parents and the genetics or our grandparents, and then it's up to us just to take the best care we can every day.
Okay, Michonne wants to know, in 2011, you released the New York Times bestselling autobiography, All My Life, with HarperCollins. Was it hard? And any tips for a wannabe author also hoping to make the New York Times bestseller list?
Oh, well, that was my first experience too. And I had not written a book before. They always say to write about something you know about, so it was a memoir of my life, and so I knew about the subject matter. But what was great is that I wrote it with someone, with Laura Morton, who really knew. She had experience with this, and she put it in a great format for me to open up and tell my story, because it was like an interview format. It was in depth, 5 or 6 hours a day for about 3 months, and it was very emotional, but it was very instructive for me, because when she would ask me questions, I thought, okay, this is what people are interested in, and it kind of gave me permission then to open up and to tell my story. So that was a great format for me. I have to tell you something. When HarperCollins, the publishers of my book, told me that they were going to take over a Trinitron in Times Square with the cover of the book, and it would be up there for a month. Growing up in New York, and even if you are coming here to New York to visit, and you go to Times Square, my husband, I asked him to drive me to Times Square and pull over so I could jump out and take a picture of the Trinitron. I mean, that's an amazing experience in a person's life. So I was very, very grateful to HarperCollins for doing that. And the other aspect is you're afraid when you launch the book that no one will come. We launched it at Barnes & Noble on Fifth Avenue.
Oh,
and I thought, and if nobody comes, then what, you know? And it turned out that people were lined up around the block over to Madison and all of that, thank heavens. It turned out to be a wonderful experience. And it gave me a chance, as I went around the country on the book tour, to meet people in person, you know, and talk to people at the Mall of America in Minneapolis or in Atlanta.
You know, one of the themes in talking to you strikes me how humble you are. Was there a moment, though, in your career where you were like, okay, I've made it? Was it that the Times Square moment? Like, when in your career have you thought, okay, I'm big stuff? I'm Susan Lucci.
Well, I thought, certainly when I saw the Trinitron, right. Yes, I thought, okay, I made it. Yes, when it was a bestseller that enough people cared about knowing about me, you know. At the same time, I know how fragile it all is. I know how delicate we all are. Even though we're strong, I mean, it could go away in a minute, you know. And so I was always so really, truly grateful. But that's just the truth. Really grateful.
You can teach this new generation so much. Okay, Chantel Risher wants to know, Susan Lucci, let me just say, I am so glad that you are on Mogul, taking the time to answer questions that a lot of us have for you. Thank you for being a great actress, philanthropist, and so much more. I want to ask, was it easy transitioning out of All My Children and into your other projects after spending a wonderful 40 years portraying Erica Kane?
Oh, what a wonderful question.
Next question.
I really loved what I was doing at All My Children. I was sorry, we all were, and we all kind of blindsided that the show was going off the air, because I had just been on the book tour and I knew that the fans were still there, you know. But it was a decision that was made. There was a period of mourning, quite frankly, for the people, for the show, for the character of Erica Kane. You know, first of all, disbelief, and then denial, and then anger, and tears, and Agnes and I would be on the phone, and she would call me. She still had storylines she wanted to tell, and she would tell me the storyline, you know. And so it was all of that. And then I realized I got very, very lucky to work on Devious Maids very shortly after All My Children went off the air, with Mark Cherry, who had created Desperate Housewives. And I auditioned for the part. Again, I wanted to. It's part of his process too. We had a the audition was so much fun. Anyway, I learned going through the airports all the time, because I live in New York and we shot Devious Maids in Atlanta. I would run into people so often in the airports, and now I'm out in daylight. I never used to be out in daylight. So I meet people a lot, and they still love Erica Kane, and they would talk about her. I think they went into mourning a little bit like I did, but everyone speaks in a very happy way about that character. And I realized that she's, you know, it's not like she's over. It's that she's part of us and the culture in a good way, that she helped women feel that they could achieve what they wanted to. So many professional people, men and women, have stopped me and said they would get at a crossroads in their education to become a lawyer, or they were going to be a professional athlete, or a diplomat, and they had doubts, could they, should they, and they'd say to themselves, their inside voice, what would Erica Kane do? And that helped them then say, yes, I'm going to go for it. So that's really thrilling for me, and that continues, you know.
And they're not going to apologize for going for it.
They are not.
Lizzie wants to know, you've been famous for over 50 years, and people probably think they know everything about you. What would surprise moguls to learn about you?
Oh.
No secrets.
I mean, I do love to eat. A lot of people say, do you eat? I mean, yes, I eat. And I'm surprised they say that because, you know, it's like most, I think, oh, my hips. You know what I'm saying? We all have our thing. But I love to eat. I don't want to miss a meal. My husband's always teasing me that I talk about dinner at breakfast. And, you know, I really do. I love to eat. Although I, you know, eat healthy, but I do love it. That I speak a little German, just a little, but that's because my husband's Austrian and his whole family is still in Europe, and you know. And then I went to Berlitz a couple nights a week for several sessions to progress, so that I could at least understand something, so that I wouldn't be just like a little puppy dog sitting there, you know, nodding and smiling.
The food thing, I'm with you. Food, I think about food all the time.
All the time, right?
All women, I think.
I think we do.
Love food.
Yes.
So Gabrielle Scherer wants to know, you are such a powerful woman. How have you continued to keep motivated throughout your career? I guess she wants to know, most people think that after you're accomplishing so much, you'd probably be like, I'm good. But you continue to amaze us.
Oh, you're so nice. I mean, I just love what I do, and I want to keep on doing it. And I look at some other people who I'm not alone in that. You know, I just was in Las Vegas and I saw Diana Ross. And she's fantastic. Her voice is stronger than ever. She's still so gorgeous. And I saw Tina Turner at Madison Square Garden maybe 5 years ago when she was here in New York. There's Mick Jagger. You know, when we saw the Stones around the same time as Tina Turner, we took our son with us, and he had never seen the Stones at all. And there's Mick Jagger, you know, and Andreas, my son, said to me, Mom, look at this guy prance. I mean, he was amazed by it. I think I'm not alone in just loving what I do and wanting to continue. So it's like, I don't have to think about motivation. I just want to go forward and onward and upward.
And we can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you.
Ms. Lucci, it has been a pleasure sitting down with you today.
Oh, thank you.
I know it means so much to me, and it means so much to the moguls in our community. Guys, to rewatch this epic interview, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to watch all of the amazing Ask a Mogul interviews. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank Ms. Lucci for imparting your amazing wisdom on us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. Back at you. Thank you, and thank you for your amazing questions.
Thanks, guys, and see you on Mogul. Bye.